Seton Catholic.
Hi.
Good Friday, 2009, Sister Debbie.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. I haven't seen you in a while. You're due for a nap, I hear. You've been busy, haven't you?
We have. We've been quite busy. Yes. This is our 10th year of the Mission of Hope, and
A
for
decade.
for our listeners, that's 31 trips and many accomplishments during the course of those years. And
Isn't it wonderful?
it is.
Who
It
would
is.
ever have dreamed, when you and I sat down for the very first time 10 years ago, that we would be here 10 years later having accomplished so much? Isn't it wonderful?
It is, and it's truly inspiring to continue to see the level of support that we get from people, not only all around the North Country and our Northern Tier region, but literally from many different states. What some people may not know is that we've now taken over 900 trips, people on trips to Nicaragua. We have had volunteers and supporters from 10 different countries, 12 different states, 23 different high schools, and the list, 18 different colleges, and the list goes on and on. So,
You know, it's possible that there is one person out there who has no idea what the Mission of Hope is. We're thrilled, Calvin and myself, that this program is now on the internet at Plattsburgh.com, so people in Nicaragua, if they have internet access, can watch this program. What do you think of that?
I think that's wonderful. That's another example of where we've come in 10 years, from just being able to watch things on TV to you having your websites. We have our website. We have links. And so, yeah, that's for anyone who has that access. That's a tremendous opportunity.
So before we get a chance to talk to a lot of the people who made the last big trip to Nicaragua in February or January? February. Just explain briefly the concept of the Mission of Hope and how it's evolved.
Well, the Mission of Hope it originally began as a one-time response to villages in great need and people in great need in Nicaragua as a result of Hurricane Mitch in 1998. Without going through a lengthy explanation of that, we are now 10 years later, and we are a humanitarian but spiritually based organization that focuses on sustainable projects in ecology and environmental solutions to hunger, on education, on community development, and on healthcare.
And the program has expanded from one school
To 23 different high schools. Yes. It originally began here in 1998 at Seton Catholic while we were on the former North Catherine site. And then about 3 years later, we began to expand and include schools, other colleges, people from other states and organizations, etc.
And it continues to be a very satisfying experience for you. Tiring at times, but very satisfying experience.
Well, I feel incredibly lucky at this point in my life to get up in the morning and not be able to wait to get to work. That's a great blessing. And I hope that every young person that's ever been on mission, or every adult who's ever volunteered time in the mission, when they get to be my age, they would be able to say the same thing, that they love what they do, they love what they're about, and they have a passion for it. If that happens, then the Mission of Hope has done part of its legacy, which is to give our young people and the volunteers that are adults on our mission an opportunity to see the reality of our world and to share their giftedness, but at the same time receive so many blessings in return.
You have inspired literally thousands of people by this Mission of Hope, and maybe have inspired other communities to start similar projects. I wonder, are you in contact with lots of other communities?
We are. We network frequently, and even as a result of our various civic organizations like our Lions Club or our Rotary Club locally, our Kiwanis Club, they've networked with other organizations who have assisted with groups in Nicaragua or other locations. But our concentration has been primarily in Nicaragua. because it is the second poorest country in our hemisphere, because we've worked very hard to build trust relationships among the people there, and we've networked with many, many different organizations. I never cease to be amazed, and the students can share this with you. We'll be in the airports, and we'll see people that are also going on mission, and we wear our shirts, so everyone is always saying,
Oh,
who are
great.
you, what are
Yeah.
you about,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that kind of stuff. And it gives us an opportunity to say who we are and what we're about. But in that process, we also learn that there are many other organizations as well who are trying to do the right thing in our world today.
So it involves people power, but more than that, because in our programs in the past, just to recapitulate, we've transferred a lot of goods, very important goods, medical supplies, and other things through the years.
It's funny because we were chatting about that at one of our leadership meetings recently, and that is so true. I mean, the networking we've done, like in terms of acquiring equipment and supplies from the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base, which was like over 8 tractor trailer loads, and this is after everybody in the world got their dibs on what
yes.
they wanted, or our healthcare networking with Catholic Medical Mission Board out of New York City, where we are bringing in literally millions of dollars worth of medicines, or our hospice organizations locally, or so many different opportunities of giving people an opportunity to be involved. So whether it's someone who's suffered a tragic loss and no longer needs that hospital bed, that is something that we can use and we transport. Last week I got a phone call from someone who no longer needs all the kidney dialysis equipment that they had at home. So yeah, on all of those levels, in all of those respects, we try to be as inclusive as possible and to bring in as much as we possibly can, empowering local people here so that they can be a part of the mission in supporting what we do in Nicaragua.
How far do you plan in advance? I know you have to plan several trips a year, but do you have a goal for 5 years down the line?
Well,
or 2 years down the...
we're actually in the midst. This past fall, leadership had a corporate meeting where we reformulated our mission statement after 10 years. We are in the midst of doing some strategic planning for 3 to 5 years out. But and I think this is important to say, no matter how much planning and projection we do as a mission, if there's one thing we've learned over the past 10 years, it's that the mission finds us. We don't find the mission. It's like every time we say, well, will we have enough to do? Or what's next? What's next? There's always that nudge. And I believe that's by the greater power among us, to keep us focused on that our mission is about hope. Our mission is about living and sharing that and breaking that bread of hope with people most in need. But the reality is we in turn are incredibly blessed with that as well.
Sometimes we all need a little nudge, don't we?
Yeah.
Every now and again.
Yeah, that's true.
So what's the course of our program today? What are we going to do?
What we're going to do first is probably bring James Carlin in because he's the worker among us. He has to go back to work. And then what we thought we'd do is filter some of our young people and some of our adults that were on the most recent mission, which, by the way, was mission number 31.
Whoa.
And yeah.
That's hard for me to grasp.
And
31.
we have some people who have been on several. We have some new people among us. We have one person that traveled up from Albany this morning to be a part of this mission TV show. So you'll get a variety of different responses and thoughts from all the people among us. So you'll see me filtering in and out, and periodically I'll come and sit back down.
I've seen you filtering in and out. Get over here, Jim. That's wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to have
Thank
a
you.
ball today.
All right, so I'm going to step out and then.
Yeah, why don't you?
We'll let
just
other-
make believe you were never here.
Right.
Until
We
the
can
next
do
time
that.
we see that green sweater.
We can do that.
Jimmy Carlin, how are you, my friend?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Great to see you.
Nice to see you again.
I'm glad to see you looking hale and healthy.
Thank you.
Praying for spring, as we all are.
Yes.
I
Maybe a little
jumped
early.
out of my car without a coat on, and Calvin said, "What do you think this is, Nicaragua?" I said,
I was hoping.
"No." Tell me about your involvement, Jim.
I've been involved. I've been on 2 trips. First one was February last year, and went again this February. And I'm on the leadership board for the Mission of Hope as well.
Is it important for you personally?
It is. It's It's a different experience. I'm involved in a few charities here locally.
I know you
Red
are.
Cross Board and,
Yep.
and Lions Club and a couple of other ones. But this is different. It's a different feeling to it, a different type of experience than you can get with those types of organizations. There's a faith base to it that's different, and just an overall tone and feeling that you get is different. Working with the kids, or the younger people, excuse me, and the adults at the same time, it's different than any other organization I belong to.
Was there a learning curve in the beginning?
Huge. When I initially decided I would like to go, you have your mindset that I'm going to go and help these people over in Nicaragua. They're needy. They're poor. They're needy. We need to go help them. But once you're there, you honestly take away so much more from it than you get, and they end up helping you more than you're helping them. Really, honestly,
It's more than reciprocal. And,
It is.
I was thinking as I was talking with Sister Debbie how Calvin should put out some kind of a DVD set of Mission of Hope. How many have we done, Calvin? Do you have any idea how many we've done? Lots down through the years, interviewing hundreds of the people, adults and young people. And I'm glad to see more and more adults getting involved, especially with people with talent such as yours, Jim.
Thanks.
Just give me a little of your feeling about what the first trip was like, and then the second compared to that one.
The first one, you're really nervous because you don't understand what you're going down for, or what you're getting into. You quickly learn when you're down there, and you get a real good positive feeling after you've been there for a day or so, and you learn the lay of the land, and you learn the people that are down there. Second trip, you don't have any of that trepidation or any of that nervousness. You're just going down there. You know what the work that lies ahead of you. You know what you're going to see, basically, and you know what it is that you want to get accomplished. So it's, I think the second trip is more rewarding from the fact that you know what you want to do, and you can get accomplished without having to go through the learning process.
It's not necessarily completely a pleasurable trip because there's hard work involved.
It's hard work, but it's balanced with really positive things that you see every day. I mean, you see a lot of poverty, you see a lot of really difficult situations, but it's balanced out when you see the kids playing in the schoolyard, or the smiles of the young Nicaraguan people, and just the joy that they bring to every day in what's really a desperate situation for them. They still find a way to get up every morning, be happy, and find something positive to bring out of every day, which is good.
They certainly give us all lessons. I'm getting the lessons peripherally from you people, but it's been an enriching experience for me. And besides, you learn to like rice and beans.
I love it. We have it at home about once a week now. So.
Oh, you do?
We do.
So what's next on the agenda for you, James?
As far as the mission goes,
Yeah.
we're in the planning. I guess we're in the process of planning the projects for the next mission, which will take place in August. We have meetings about 2 times a month or 3 times a month, trying to plan the projects that are going to go forward. Where I'm on the community development committee, so we plan work that we're going to do with the schools or the hospitals or things like that. And I think we have about 17 projects planned for the next August mission. All of them won't get accomplished then, but we're working towards that.
This whole Mission of Hope concept has taken on wings. They say a life of its own, but in the beginning, we've used the word trepidation already once or twice, but it's true. You don't know what you're in for the first time you try to get that plane going, get everybody on the plane and get everything over there. And
I can't imagine going on one of the first trips.
I can only imagine,
yeah.
based on the stories from Sister Debbie and others that first year.
Well, they tell us we have it easy now, so.
Compared to those days,
guess we do.
perhaps that is
I guess we
true.
do.
Thanks so much,
All right,
Jim, for
great.
everything you do.
Appreciate it.
Shake your hand. You're a force in the
Thanks, Gordon.
community.
Thank you.
See you later.
Take care.
Look who we have over here. This is the floating microphone. Marty Mannix, how are you, my friend?
I'm fine, Gordy.
I'm doing just fantastically good. You and I covered about 3 months worth of things before the camera even started today. How's your golf game?
I don't know.
You don't get to play much in Nicaragua, do you?
Oh, no, we don't get to play in Nicaragua.
You've been there how many times, Mark?
20.
Come on. 20 times?
Hey, I'm nobody. There's Sister Stephanie sitting over
Oh,
there.
I
She's
know.
been there more than that.
Yeah, but she knows how to get the seatbelt around her and that into the air. Why did you get involved in the beginning? That's sometimes a profound question.
Yeah, the questions are sometimes more profound than the answers are going to be. I was at a point in time in my life, the children were through school, et cetera, and I was giving thought to doing something, and where I was I was looking at things like Habitat for Humanity, and we didn't have a Habitat for Humanity locally at that time. So I was looking at like going to Tennessee or Alabama to do Habitat for Humanity. And there was a presentation at our Rotary Club. Sister Debbie and Eve McGill and Jean-Malette Flores came and made a presentation about
There's a
mission.
triumvirate right there.
And I said,
Oh, wow.
well, I know these people, and, maybe I'll do this, And then you go down and you get caught up in the work and caught up with the people. More than anything, you get caught up with the people there. And you just kind of feel this is the place, I guess, where I'm supposed to be, lending a hand, doing some work. And it's Jim said it very well, and he said, we get so much more than we give. We really do.
I was thinking as you're talking, this Mission of Hope project defines the word missionary in so many ways. And I'm old, so I've interviewed lots and lots of missionaries, but many of those missionaries would talk about what they were doing. And you and Jim, and I'm sure the others, and I know all the kids will echo this sentiment, that you do bring home something that's hard to quantify, but it's very profound and very deep, isn't it?
It is. I had the occasion a few months ago where a person in a semi-public situation was, expressing, they were telling me how great it was that I did what I did, and I had to interrupt. I just said, I said, there isn't anybody who goes will tell you we get so much more than we give. I have trouble, and I think it has to do with my Catholic upbringing or whatever. In the elementary school and whatever. The concept of what a missionary was. We don't go down to try to convert anybody or anything of that nature. We go down to try to help the human condition. Sister says, it's not a denomination-based organization, but I think anybody who goes would tell you there's no question it's a spiritual component to it.
That's the big
Yep.
umbrella.
Yep, but not a religious
Yeah,
component.
you were showing me some pictures. I want to see a couple of them and just explain this project because I was really moved by it.
Well, it's a project.
I'll hold a picture up as you give me one. I'll hold it up for a minute and we'll chat. I want to make
Okay.
sure we give everybody a chance to talk.
We'll do it this
Okay.
way.
What
Okay.
are we looking at here?
Right there, you're looking at a warehouse, and this is a school in the middle of Managua, in a very poor section of Managua. I was taken there last June when we were down there to oversee a Rotary project that we've been involved in, where we were building latrines. And the reason they took us there was, here's a school. There's 250 kids that go to this school and whatever. They don't have any restroom facilities. If
No
you can
door,
imagine
no
that.
doors, no
this
windows,
is
no-
a warehouse. There's first and second graders. There's 2 classrooms there. There's first and second graders in that warehouse. And this picture, which probably isn't going to show up real well on the camera, is a picture. It shows the ceiling of the warehouse. There's nothing between the students and the ceiling. And of course, up in the rafters are the pigeons and the bats and
Of course.
everything. But there are no windows. There's maybe a 75-watt light bulb for light in that room. That's another picture of the facility, the warehouse that these students were going into. And then what happened while we were there, we look over to the side and we can see a structure that has been abandoned. And what they explained to us was that about a year earlier, the local Rotary Club there, called the Tezcapa Rotary Club, had sought to build 2 classrooms for these first and second graders to get them out of the warehouse. And these kids had been told, you're going to get a school, you're going to get a real school. And they were tremendously excited. They would go to school and they would see that construction going on or whatever. And then one day they go and there's no more construction. They've stopped.
Oh,
they ran out of money. They had a problem with the contractor. All of those reasons. And that was a project. It's just we were there. There were 4 Rotarians, myself and Bonnie Black, and 2 people from Bergen County, New Jersey, who partner with us on that latrine project. And I was just consumed by it. But the biggest thing I was consumed by was we could take that on. We could finish that school. And it's amazing how far your dollar goes down there. We actually did do that. And we did it for $12,000.
Come on.
No.
I want to see more.
Yeah. This is the construction crew we hired. It was headed up by a young man that we've worked with for 7 or 8 years down there. And he has matured into, a situation where he has started his own company.
Of course.
And what they're basically doing there is they prepare the surface for what amounts to a stucco-like process. Okay, and there's some more of it. Okay, and what you can see some in that photo is you can see some of what they call the scarification. You have to.
This is beautiful.
In order to make the
I love
stucco.
the scarification.
Yeah.
Tell me how that works.
On the block, the block it's a cinder block, and so it's rough, and the stucco will stick to that. But on the cement, which would be your posts and your doorways and what will be the roof support area, that's cement. And in order for that to have the stucco material adhere to it, you have to scar it. You have to beat it up.
Beat it with an axe.
And you take a hatchet and you just pound on it.
Isn't that amazing?
And I mean, if anyone has if anyone is frustrated and they really want to have an opportunity to get rid of that frustration, that's a great job. That's probably even a better picture where you can see the scarification.
The fact is, for $12,000, you built a school. Is that what you're telling me?
We did. And
Unbelievable.
we have other pictures that show the finished product. There's a couple pictures I have that I just love. Those are 2 little guys that, I don't know, they adopted me, I guess, in the process. They followed me around every day when I was there, and that's a picture of them standing there by a part of a gym set, sharing an ice pop. And that's a picture that I love. That's a picture that was taken the last day when we dedicated the school. And it's a picture of the kids, and they're all around us out in the yard, and it's just a great picture, But
So the project, all in all,
project's all done. And in fact, the beauty of the project, what's with us there in that group picture, the husband and wife, and he's a gentleman. He owns his business in Managua. He's not a wealthy man. He has spent 10 years trying to build this school in the heart of Managua. And he was, really upset about, the financial situation they found themselves in and whatever. And he had been out trying to raise some additional money. What happened was when we appeared on the scene and proceeded to explain that we'd gone out and got the money to finish the school, he said, then I got the money to build the baños, to build the bathrooms.
Of course.
And that's what's happened since we left. That same contractor, Chico, was hired to build restroom facilities for the students, and so that's been done. And Oscar Flores brought back pictures, which we have. I don't have photographs of them. Everything now is digital.
But the returns for this school will come back a millionfold over the years to come.
The answer, I mean, anybody who looks at poverty anywhere, whether it's in this country or any other country, the ticket to escape poverty is education.
Yeah.
period.
Well, that's why it was so important to tell that story. Marty, you're the man. You're my hero. Don't ever stop. See you later. Thanks for
Okay.
stopping by. Hey there.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, you.
Who are you?
I'm Matt Kennedy,
Matt Kennedy. I'm pleased to meet you. Where do you go to school?
Peru.
And how did you get involved with this amazing mission of hope?
Well, a couple years back, my friend Alex, his older sister, and his mother had traveled down to Nicaragua on several trips, and he and I planned to go down one February to just see what it was all about, I guess. And so I was able to go that February of my sophomore year. So that was my first time going down, and I really enjoyed my
You're
experience.
an old timer? Is that what you're telling me? You've been there twice?
3 times.
3 times. Well, you know what they say about 3 times. Way to go. So you went this past.
This past February and the February before that. And this past February, I went on the advanced team, so I was down there for an extra week to help set up and then get everything prepared for the large group.
So why was this time different?
Well, over the past few years, I've just gone down with the large group, and I've really enjoyed that experience, but this will probably be my last trip for a while since I'm going off to college next year, so I want to really experience more aspects of the mission. So I asked Sister Debbie if I was able to go down on the advanced team this year, and so I was, and it was a group of me and I want to say 10 or 11 other people that went down on the advanced team. So that really gave me a chance to see more of the inner workings of the mission.
Is it really important for you personally to have made these trips?
Yeah, it's really shaped who I am today. Like next year I'm planning on going into public health. I probably wouldn't have,
No kidding.
yeah, I probably wouldn't have gone down that path if it wasn't for going down to Nicaragua with the mission.
Isn't that amazing? So where are you going to school?
Tulane University.
Good for you. Any special poignant experience from this trip that sticks out in your mind that you'd like to tell folks about?
This trip,
Or any of the other trips? We haven't talked to you. We talked to you once before, didn't we? Or did we? No, maybe not.
maybe, I'm not
Maybe,
sure.
Yeah. So, what stories? Any good stories?
There's quite a few. Like my family, a few years ago, my cousin passed away, and he was born. He had several disorders, and so after he passed away, my mom wanted to sponsor a child in Nicaragua in his memory. So
Oh, what a great idea.
So we asked if there were any children down there that might have had special needs, and as it turns out, one child at the disability center, Hector, he needed a sponsorship. Sister has a picture of him right over here.
Okay, I'm good at holding things up.
He has osteogenesis imperfecta, which is brittle bone disease. So his bones fracture easily and don't heal normally.
My.
He's 15 this year.
Oh,
And-
my.
When was this picture taken?
When was that picture taken, sister?
That was taken a couple years
A couple of years ago, so he might have been like 13. Is that hard to believe?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So he's confined to a wheelchair, but he's an extremely bright kid. He even talks to me in English when I'm down there.
Come on.
What he knows, yeah. And he's really enjoying art classes, I guess. So he wants to carry on, like, after he's done school, like, maybe doing art. And so we're helping to sponsor his education.
There's a place for everybody, isn't there?
Yep. And he has no mental disabilities at all. It's all physical. And so he's a very bright kid.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
That's important. What do you got over here? You got another shot here for us?
Yeah, this is a picture of me and my sponsor child in the red, Gerald, and his little brother, Michael. I met him on my first trip, and by the second trip, I started sponsoring him. So I've sponsored him over the past 2 years. He's in, I think he said 3rd grade this year. He's 11 years old. So I'm sponsoring him to go to school. And so on this trip, because I was on the advanced team, after the large group left, I was able to go and meet with him and his family at his house. So that was a great experience for me to see where he lived and what he went through every day.
Would you say it's important for everybody to have some kind of an experience like Mission of Hope in their lifetime?
I think so. It's given me such a better view of the world. up here in upstate New York, you see poverty, but it can be quite extreme at some points, but it's nothing like what you see down there where the entire area is just full of poverty. You see the extremes between the poor and the rich. It just gives you a view to what else there is in the world.
So to use your own words, it shaped who you are.
Yeah, it really has.
And it will continue to shape your future because you've cultivated relationships
hmm
and memories
I have.
that are indelible forever and ever and ever, right?
Yeah, and like this experience of like community service down in Nicaragua has really led me to like continue with community service. Going to school at Tulane, there's a community service requirement, which I'm really excited about
That's great.
because that'll give me the chance to continue this type of work in New Orleans and probably throughout the world.
I love it. Good luck at Tulane.
Thank you.
We'll watch you forever. You're
All
a
right.
great guy. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Sister Stephanie, how are you?
I am just fine.
You've always been just fine.
Oh, sure. Why not?
You wouldn't admit it even if it weren't just fine. So what's the latest from your point of view?
Oh, I am just really excited to see the growth of the mission. In fact, a couple of years ago, my superior said to me, "Did you ever foresee that the mission would grow the way it has?" And I said, "Never, because we had intended to go down and make one trip. And, 31 trips later, we're still making plans for the next trip.
Isn't it amazing?
It is. And, I always tell our groups before they go down, if you don't want your life changed, then you better not come, because it will happen automatically that your life will be changed.
Isn't it obvious from everybody we talk to?
Definitely. And our young people, I am so proud of them because they're taking a week of their vacation to go down in February. They're taking some of their summer vacation to go down. And I'm just very, very proud of them that they are thinking less of themselves and more of others.
And raising money, right?
And raising money.
Sure.
Which brings up a good point that the food has gone up tremendously down there, and simple foods like rice and beans. And we had to look at our feeding the children down there. And it's gotten very, very expensive. So we definitely need to do some fundraisers to raise more money for the feeding the children. And if there's anyone out there that could give us a hand, we'd certainly welcome it.
We want to mention that several times throughout the course of the program. This is called the Mission of Hope. And even though this is the focus of it here at Seton Catholic Central School on the former base, it's now embraced many schools, many families, many denominations. We've crossed a lot of boundaries, haven't we, over the years? So how, if somebody is inspired by this program, and we certainly hope they are, how would they help?
There's millions of ways to help. We have our website. We put suggestions on their website. And like I just mentioned, we need help with feeding the children down there. We need finances to be able to buy the rice and beans down there. There's home shelters that can be built. There's medical needs and medical needs and medical needs, So there's so many ways to help. And
Individuals and organizations,
definitely.
churches, a lot of people can get involved.
Right now, Matt talked about Hector, who is in the at a disability center there in Managua, and they're looking for money to put up another building. And they've got the plans. They've got an architect who's very interested. His wife and 6 other people go once a week, and they bring food for the entire institution. And they have now $17,000, but they need $70,000 to put up another building. And so that's very important. And we've also offered our services that once construction starts, any way at all that we can help with painting and constructing and electrical work, that, we would be more than happy to do so.
There's been a lot of building over the years, from the simple shelters to schools. Marty Mannix's project was perfect. And look how much has been accomplished in 10 years.
Exactly. And it's so good to see the people keeping up what we've started down there,
They sure are appreciative, aren't
Oh,
they?
they are. They're very, very appreciative and very grateful for whatever we're able to give them. and to do for them.
What do you got for me?
I have a picture of Roberto.
Oh, is that
who's in the-
precious? Is that precious?
He was born without a brain, and he was not expected brain stem, and he was not expected to live even the first week, and now he's 3 years old. They get excellent care down there that they can give.
Oh, look at the little tiny limbs. Huh?
Yes.
Oh my.
Very, very
my,
tiny.
My.
And this was a picture that Sister Debbie had taken when we were out visiting.
You wanted to make me cry before I leave here today. I cry every time I come here. Look at this absolutely beautiful photograph.
We were giving out food to the families, and we had a box of little children's little like breakfast bars, and the little girl didn't know what to do with the box. She was dancing around, holding it and hugging it to herself.
Oh, come
She didn't know,
on.
so anyway, I opened the box up and handed her one. Well, she still didn't know what to do with it. So I tore the paper on it, and I took off a little piece and put it in my mouth and went, that is so good. So and then she did the same thing. She took off a piece and ate it, but she had no idea what to do with a box and the little bar. So that became a very special picture to me.
A picture is worth 1,000 words? Make that 10,000 words. And that photograph, I'll never forget it after seeing it today. That's 9 years old. That was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
We
And-
were all a little younger then, weren't we, huh?
It's in my bedroom. It faces my bed.
Oh.
So when I wake up in the morning, that's the first thing I see, and very much on my mind for the rest of the day.
What other messages do you have today now, for either from your own experiences or things that you want to convey to those folks who are watching this program?
Well, if someone is even thinking about, getting on a mission group like this, our mission group is very different from a lot of the other mission groups. We do not stay in hotels when we go down.
Oh, true. We know
And-
that for a fact.
No, we stay in the village with the people in a special location. But we've talked with a lot of the different groups, and we share whatever we have with them. And I think that's a big learning lesson for all of us to learn.
Yeah, but you've never wielded a paintbrush.
Oh, yes, I have. Painted at one of the cancer hospitals. Oh, yes.
I was being
help.
absolutely facetious. Not many people go there without wielding a paintbrush.
Oh, yes, very much so. And helping with delivering materials to build a home and so forth, yeah. I like to work over at the Disability Center. That's kind of my pet project.
But
when
you've
I
been
go down.
involved in everything there was to do down there, right?
Well, I've been on every one of the large trips. I've been very fortunate to be able to do that. And so I've been on the large group trips. Mhm.
Any other special memories from this trip? that you wanna-
Like I just said, I was just very proud of all the people that went. We had an excellent group. People worked well together, and when they finished one job, it was offering to do something else. And whether it was helping in the kitchen and cutting up fruit or whatever.
We're going to talk to a lot of young people. And,
Yes, and I want
you
to
know,
give them a chance to.
I want to get their whole life stories on, but we'll keep it moving so that we can fill up a tape and a good program. Sister, you have my eternal gratitude and the gratitude from many, many other people whose lives you've touched, both here and abroad. So thank you so much
Well,
for doing
thank
that.
you, and thank you, for Calvin and yourself, to helping to further our mission project, because that's how it grows.
Okay, we expect those $10,000 checks to come
Oh, yeah.
rolling in, right?
Know right where to put it.
Thanks a lot, Steph. Hi there, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
You know, it's nice to have an encouragement from what I call the peanut gallery. You guys are over there smiling and laughing. You think we
You're
were
a funny-
asking?
you're a funny guy.
Were we asking the right questions?
I hope so. I think
I
so.
hope so too. But you have a neat smile. Who are you?
I'm Alice Robinson.
Alice, tell me about yourself. Where you're from and what school and.
I am a senior this year at Peru.
Wow, another Peruvian, huh?
Yep, I've been really good friends with Matt since about first grade.
He's a neat guy.
He is pretty cool.
And you're a neat lady, too. So
Thanks.
tell me about your involvement with Mission of Hope.
Well, actually, I didn't know too much about it. a few years. This was my second trip, but before my first trip, I didn't know very much about it. I always heard about it in the paper and visited the website a few times. But my 10th grade year in biology, my biology teacher, Marilee Patnode, she was my teacher, and Matt Kennedy was in my class as well, and they were both going on the February trip. And they were talking about it before they left in February, and they were excited. They had never been on a trip before, and I didn't really think anything of it. And then they came back, and that's all they were talking about. And I was like, wow, this definitely sounds like something I would want to do. Like, tell me more about it, inform me more about it. And then Matt got really involved and was on the leadership team. And he basically convinced me that I would love stuff like that, and turns out I did. And so I have them to thank for it,
How
I
could
guess.
you not?
I don't know. I absolutely don't
When you
know.
got there the first time, was it different from what you had been led to believe?
Oh yeah, you always have a mind of what you think you're gonna see wherever you go around the world. You always think you're gonna see something, and then it's always different. But I mean, I had a general idea, but it's so weird. One of the main things I didn't picture is around our area, there'll be like a group of nice houses or a village or something of
Yeah.
like nice houses, and then you'll drive around and there'll be like a small section of not as nice houses or like just not as wealthy people. But in Nicaragua, you'll be driving down the road and there'll be an amazing house surrounded by a fence, and there's gardens everywhere, and next to it there's a 4x6 shack. Like there's no separation
hovel,
at all.
yeah.
Yeah, that's like one of the main things I didn't really realize. You'd just be driving down the road, there'd be a house with a car, and then next to it there'd be a horse and a buggy. Like there's no separation between where the people with poverty live and the people that have money.
And many people have no means of transportation.
Right.
So they walk a long time to get
Right.
to where you are when you're there, don't they?
Definitely, yeah. A lot of people do walk. There's some bikes. Some people have like mopeds or little motorized vehicles, some motorcycles, and some cars and trucks, so to get around.
So tell me what you did this last trip. Tell me some of the things you did to give our viewers an idea of what life is like, because I know it's kind of intense. You're there a relatively short time,
Right.
but you do so much.
Right. This year I built a rain gutter on one of the houses, or on one of the school buildings. During the dry season, which is in the summer, it doesn't rain very much. So what we were trying to do was put gutters on a lot of the school buildings. So in the rainy season, it would collect the rain and put it into a 500-gallon drum, I think, so it could be used during the dry season.
Yeah, we think we get rain here,
Yeah,
but when
yeah.
you say rainy season, you aren't just kidding.
No, definitely not. I'm not sure exactly how much it rains.
Lots.
But, definitely a lot. So I did that for a day. I was on home building, so I built a few houses. I worked at,
Bless you, sister.
Sorry.
That's all right.
there was a lot of pap smear clinics, and I helped some of the doctors organize that, and I was like the secretary for the day.
Good for you.
Yeah, I played with all the kids a lot, just stuff like that.
The personal relationships with the young kids there, is that meaningful for you?
The younger, like
Yeah,
the
the
oh
little
yeah,
kids.
definitely. That's my favorite part, without a doubt.
Of course. Well, tell me about that. How does it make you feel when you get so much love in return for very little?
I don't know. It's pretty much undescribable, actually. You'll be sitting inside our compound, and we're surrounded by a gate, and there's a line, and all the school children know they can't cross the line. But right when you step over the line, they all jump on you. They're all pulling you one way. They're all telling you one thing. At one point my arms were like this, and one kid was pulling me this
Now
way, and one
that's
kid was
that's
and
the
like
picture
I
wanted you to
I didn't know what to
draw.
do. I was just like ah. So
Isn't that? Have you got pictures for me? Somebody was sliding pictures for you.
these.
Just
Yeah, these
give-
are some of the kids around, and we were all
We
just
gotta
hanging
see
out.
Pictures.
Yeah. So there's just kids everywhere, and they all want to talk to you. Even the younger kids especially, they'll be rambling off in Spanish. These ones are from different spots, but that's at La Chirica. That was at the dump. But
Well, you talk about that, because some of our viewers don't know what the dump run is all about.
oh, well, that's a completely different experience. The last year I went on mission, I got to go to the dump twice actually, and I worked in the medical clinic there. But the dump is basically, it's the Managua dump, which is located right outside the city, and when you think of a dump around here, you don't really think, I don't know, it's just, you drive in and you just see smoke everywhere. There's garbage everywhere. it's one of those things you don't believe people could live in a situation like that.
People are there all the time.
Oh, right. There's somewhere between 800 and 1,200 people living in this section.
Goodness.
Yeah. So basically, these people don't have jobs. The majority of them don't have jobs, and the only way they make money is going through the garbage, trying to find scraps of metal, bottles, so they can recycle them to get money. That's why there's everything's getting burned, is so the metal won't burn. So after everything, all the other like garbage has been disposed, they can grab the scraps of metal and try to sell them at like a flea market or something. So basically, once a new garbage truck is coming in, because people come from all different directions and try to scrounge for, or scraps of food too as well. But it's one of those crazy things that you look and you see a person and their children looking for metal, and then right next to them there's like a chicken and a cow. Like, it's one of those things you can't really envision until you see it. You don't think that's what it would be like.
You and many other young people and adults who've gone to Nicaragua come back a changed person. Do you feel as though you're a different person?
I definitely do. I always find myself thinking of what can I do next? What can I do to help other people? If I save this, what will I be doing? Will I just stuff like that? And I'm now working actually at the clinic last year. The medical clinic made me realize how much I want to work in the medical field. And so
kidding.
yeah. So I think I know, but I'm not sure where I'm going next year. But I'm leaning towards University of Vermont, and I got into their nursing program. So
Gee, they almost won a hockey game last night.
I know, I saw that. It was pretty close against VU. And then I'm thinking about majoring in Spanish, so that when I do get older, I can
I would
make
say
more of a
this has
difference.
changed
Yeah,
your
so
life.
I basically, I think the Mission of Hope is responsible for that decision,
I bet you've
without a
learned
doubt.
a few Spanish words anyway, right?
I know a little bit, yeah. I mean, I'm nowhere near conversational, but I mean, I can understand. I could understand the kids, and I could communicate on a basic level back and forth.
Any other stories that you want to... What's this a picture of?
That's a picture of the medical clinic. This trip was actually kind of neat because my mom went with me.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so she's a doctor, and
Oh, that's even better.
yeah.
And we wonder why you want to go into the medical field. Okay.
Yeah, so she was a little apprehensive at first in the airport. She was kind of worried, and she was going to me, like making it seem like I was the adult, and she was asking me all the questions.
Don't you love it when
Yeah,
the roles are
I know,
reversed?
and that's basically like the first time that's ever happened to me. So it was kind of fun
That's
being
cool.
the leader, not the follower. Like before we went to bed every night, like I'd tuck her in and I'd ask her how her day was. And it was just kind of like a fun experience being like the older, wiser one.
But what you've proved to me in this brief interview is that there are lots of different ways to be educated.
Right.
And this is a way that you can't replace any other way than to
Right.
take the trip for the Mission of Hope.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. Anything else you can think of?
That's basically it.
Can't wait to be calling you doctor one of these years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was
Have
nice
a
to meet
wonderful
you.
day.
Thanks, you
nice
too.
to meet you. And the floating microphone floats again. Once again, we're talking about the Mission of Hope. Trip that's gone on over and over again. It's been replicated for 10 years to Nicaragua to help the needy people there. And who are you?
I'm Andrea Maynard, and I'm a senior at Seton Catholic.
Wonderful. I'm glad the host school gets represented here today.
Yes, we actually have
More.
4 different schools.
Oh, that's terrific. So it's Andrea.
Yep.
Tell me about how you got involved with this whole project.
Well, my whole family has really been involved on mission. I had an older cousin that went a couple times, like on the first couple missions, and my sister went, I think, 2 or 3 times, and then I had another cousin that went. And I grew up like listening to stories that they tell, and
Isn't that great? I grew up listening to stories that they tell. Well, 10 years, you know.
yeah.
That's an example of storytelling at its best.
I love it. Okay.
And I fell in love with the stories. Like, they just, like how they explained it, all the poverty and how they helped people, but they still got stuff, like they came back with so much more. I just wanted to see what they were talking about. I wanted to be involved with it. I wanted to do as much as I could because they really, their stories inspired me.
this was your first time?
No, this is my third time.
Oh, gosh, here we go. These are all old salts now, huh? Wow.
Well, my first mission was last February, and then I went on the summer one, and then I went on this past one. So, I loved
So
it.
you got thousands of stories to tell.
Yeah.
Give me a couple of stories about things that happened that were important to you.
Gosh, I have to think. 1 second.
Well, we've talked about going to the dump. We've talked
Yeah.
about rice and beans. We're talking about the medical part of it. What other things were important for you?
One thing that I got to do that I thought was really inspiring was I got to be a part of the all women's home building crew.
All right,
and
show me a picture.
I have 3 or 4 pictures.
Well, we're going to look at all of them.
This
What's
is what
this one?
it's this is a foundation, and before you start, that's there. Like, we have people from Nicaragua that work, and they put the foundation down, and then we go and we build, and it's all women, so we have to do it all.
Cool.
And
Women
if
power.
you've never built a house in Nicaragua, you don't know what it's like. The wood is so hard and thick. It's called monkey pine, I think. And it took me like 10 minutes just to nail one nail in. And I was
Really?
I was like going at that, like trying to cut that piece of wood for like an hour. It's so hard. And it's all women, so the guys can't help you. They just tell you what to do.
Oh, man, isn't that the way it always is, Andrea?
They're there laughing at us, and because we're trying to, like, with all our might. And finally, it usually takes them, like, how long does it take them to build a house?
3 hours.
Well, just with the guys.
Oh, 2.5.
Yeah, and
Two
it,
to two and
it
a half.
took us, like, the whole day to
I'm sure
build
for
that.
the new people who hadn't watched our program on the Mission of Hope before, when people were talking about, oh, we built a few houses, they have no clue. So that's why I'm glad you gave us this graphic description.
Yes. And this is the whole crew. And we built the house.
What a beautiful crew.
All women.
Of course.
And we built
you
the
keep
house.
saying that as if I'm not convinced. You certainly are, and I think that's beautiful.
We built the house for a 97-year-old woman who had donated.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
She had donated her land for a community church, and she was like the youngest 97-year-old woman I'd ever seen. She had so much spirit. We make it so that the homeowner gets to put the last nail in. So we
come
stick
on.
the nail in.
Isn't that a great idea?
And
she got it driven in quicker than you would have.
Yeah, she had so much strength. She just hit that nail in so hard. It was impressive, and it was inspiring because she had given up her land, and this was like such a small gift for her to build a house that most people in the United States wouldn't even call a
Wouldn't
shed.
even put their lawnmower in. Yeah.
And like, she loved it. She had such a smile on her face, and it was really touching. And another thing I got to see on my first mission trip, we got to visit the banana camps. We weren't allowed
Here's
to visit.
one.
Yep, we weren't allowed to visit them in in my third mission because there was some like political problems going on.
Let's just say unrest, right?
Yeah. But when I didn't really know what to expect when I went to the banana camps, and these are places, they're banana workers that are protesting because of the chemicals and pesticides that they put on bananas. It causes the workers to have malformities and have their kids get sick, and they're protesting the use of these chemicals, and the banana owners, they won't stop using them, and one time they even lied to them. They said, we'll stop using them, and they went back to work, and it turned out that they didn't. So they were working thinking that they were safer when
Been
really
a problem
they
in
weren't.
various parts of the world, including our own country, since almost the beginning of time. And this is a picture of contrasts with a high-rise building in the background,
Yeah.
and the banana camp in the front.
This banana camp is literally in the middle of the city.
Yeah, this particular camp is where the people have come from, essentially the camp about 2 hours away, where people are dying at the rate of 3 to 5 a month from the exposure.
Oh my goodness!
But
come
the
on.
contrast is most appropriate in that picture because that building in the background is the building, the government building of the
Oh,
country.
well,
Yeah.
there's the whole story right
Yeah.
there in
Yeah.
a nutshell.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that amazing?
And-
Next.
I've like all 3 mission trips I've got to go on rice and beans, and it turns out
course.
every time I go on rice and beans I go to the same spot, and I think that's kind of cool because I get to see the like families as they like grow, and this is one of the groups of kids that I saw, and like the first time I went, like they were all like this, they didn't have any clothes, there's a little naked boy like somewhere over here, and it was really sad to like see that. But like the next time I went, I was like, oh my gosh, I've seen these people before, and it's cool like seeing them grow, and kind of like we teach them how to do stuff and how they like learn. Like we put the moringa tree at the lady's house. The moringa tree, like its seeds are used to purify water. And
That I'm not
It's one of our new
familiar with.
projects.
Wow.
I can chat about after you
And
interview
we
all
will,
the others.
yes,
but
I
it's
like
a,
that
it's a
idea.
really, really important ecological development that we're trying to establish within the country before all of the copyrights on the moringa seeds occur, because the moringa seed itself is every piece of it can be used for food and to help the hungry, but it's also very valuable in the formation and preparation of perfumes. So there are some patent people, people in the world who are
on
trying.
the internet.
Right. It's called the miracle tree. It's called the miracle tree.
moringa tree.
yes,
huh?
and it's really cool because since I've gone to these places, I get to see them like develop. Like they'll take the moringa tree and they'll start like using it. They want to like help them, like we're teaching them how to help themselves,
Well,
and
that's
they
the
want to
whole point,
continue
isn't
helping
it?
themselves. Yes, and it's really cool to like see the like progress that we're making. Like these people, when I first came, didn't have this stuff, and then like the second time and the third time I went, they started like picking up our like little hints and our little like
Isn't that
teachings.
great? So how
Yeah.
much Spanish have you learned?
I don't
Not
no.
many.
I plan when I go to college, I'm going to take a Spanish class because I like after this trip, after my mission experience, which well, it's not over yet, but I want to keep on going as many missions as I can. I can't right now because of college, but I do plan on like learning Spanish, and I want to do something unique that will help like poverty in the world. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do yet, but I do want
You're a
to.
senior?
Yes.
So what school are you going to go to?
I'm 99% sure St. Lawrence.
Good for
yeah.
you. St.
So-
Lawrence University, not very far away,
No,
but
I
very
like, yeah.
highly touted school. And you're
and-
going to major in,
I don't know yet. But whatever
you don't
I do,
have to know.
it's gonna somehow involve like helping others.
I hope so.
Yes.
Okay. Are those two your pictures too?
Yes, this one's from the Disability Center. And that was like, I didn't really know what to expect when I went there. And that's the baby room. And we walked into this room, and there was a bunch of babies on the floor and like odd different like cribs and stuff. And like you'll go to them and somebody will tell you their story, and it's sad to like hear them, because like you look at a kid and they look like they're like 3 or 2 and really they're like 15, or that they have some kind of disease and it's just stopping them from growing and developing. And the fact that most of these kids wouldn't even be that way, like they were born normal, but because of malnutrition when they were growing, they developed a disorder. And it's fun playing with them because the doctors there, or the nurses, they want as much like outside interaction, like the kids have as much outside interaction with other people, because by doing that they're like learning, because they're just stuck with the same nurses every single day. And like just the change and the view, it helps them out a lot. And it's sad.
the way I like to describe it is, you know, most of our people that go to Nicaragua expect to deal with poverty.
Yeah.
And they expect to deal with children. They expect to even deal with orphan children and sick children. But when you're poor, orphaned, sick, abandoned, and disformed or malfunctioning, you have every strike in the world against you.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for this disability center, what was happening to these children prior to the growth, the building of this center, where Sister Stephanie and Bev Gagola and Brenda Flynn from Scroon Lake, that's truly their commitment. These kids were actually in the middle of the streets of Managua being exploited. What people would do is literally stick them in the middle
Oh,
of the
sure. Oh,
streets
how-
with a can
how-
during the course of a day. And then they were then tossed into literally the alleys at night. So then there additional exploitation of being molested
We've seen
and all
it
those
happen
kinds of
so
things.
many times in
Yeah.
our own cities and throughout Mexico and our visits there, and of course Nicaragua.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's
That's
a
why we call it Mission of
hope,
Hope,
right?
right?
Absolutely.
What's this picture?
That's a picture of one of my like school friends, or the kids that go to the school that we stay at. It was her younger brother, and she wanted me to hold it, and it's really like touching. They really like it when you hold their children, because they almost think of it as like a blessing. Like they want you.
Of course
to,
they do.
Yeah.
It reminds
They-
me of a story from the very beginning there, yeah. They're one of our first
They
trips.
just love it when you hold their kids, and they'll like pick up their kid and they'll give it to you, and it's touching. Like most in the United States, if you had a baby and you asked, like, nobody would ask you to hold their baby, they'd be all like, no, don't. But in Nicaragua, it's totally different. They want you to hold their kid.
Are
And
there
it's really, I like it.
any other experience before we wrap up this portion of the interview? You're a delightful young woman. You'll be
you.
successful in whatever you do.
Thank you.
I better call St. Lawrence and tell them, look out, here she comes.
Thanks.
Have you applied?
Yeah, I'm in it. I just have to put my
Oh.
name on the line. My mom's still in a little shock. So,
Oh, just a little shot?
yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a shock, all right.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and have a wonderful life.
You too.
You don't need my blessings because you're going to have a wonderful life. Get over close to me
to
here.
you.
You've been waiting patiently for so long. Who are you?
My name's Demi Pellerin, and I also go to Seton Catholic.
Oh, you do. And it's Debbie?
Demi.
Oh, Demi. That's
Yeah.
even better.
Yep.
D-E-M-I?
Yes.
Boy, there's a famous name. All right, Demi. What about the mission of hope is important for you?
I feel that everything's important. I don't feel that anything is more important than anything else, because no matter if you're playing with the kids or if you're out on rice and beans or if you're building someone a home, it's all important, because every part of it is,
Is this your first trip?
yeah.
Oh, a newbie.
Yeah, this is my first trip. Me and my dad decided to go, and we went together.
Oh, you did?
Yep. So it was a good experience. My father and I both went. So.
And he hadn't been there before
Nope,
either?
it was the first trip for both of
Oh,
us.
isn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
Now, once again, let me ask you how the actual experience was different from what you had thought it would be after talking. You obviously talked with other people.
Yeah, my
along the
sister
way.
went a couple years before, so I heard stories and stuff, and I know I saw pictures, but it was nothing like I thought. Like I thought that it was going to be so sad, and I thought when I got there I was going to be the one that would be like, oh, I'm so sad and cry and everything, but it's not like that, because everybody's so happy to see you there. It makes you happy.
Isn't that amazing? That's one of the most salient and important points that we could possibly make today. Smiles are important.
They are.
And it's interesting to decipher what makes us happy. And for some people, like those poor folks in Nicaragua,
Just even
Just
to shake their hand.
holding
or
that baby or a little
they hold their baby
hug,
out
or
to you.
throwing a soccer ball back and forth, or teaching them how to brush their teeth, or
The best part about giving the kids something was stickers. You bring stickers out into the courtyard and they
what
attack.
kids don't love stickers?
They love stickers.
No
and
kidding.
it's like a little tiny sticker, and they're just
Yeah.
so happy to get a sticker. And it's like makes them so happy. And they take them, even if you give them to them, they take them and they stick them on your name tag, like it's like a gift to us, because that's what they can give you.
Yeah,
So it's-
you've just
it's
given
cool. I
us
saw-
another chapter in giving and returning the gifts, because how many times in the last 10 years have we talked about you giving something to them, you give them a donut and they break it in half and give you half of it, or a package with 2 cookies and they give you 1.
Exactly.
You give them a bottle of water, they take a sip and give it back to you, or soda or whatever. These stories I will never ever forget.
Yeah.
But doesn't that teach us all lessons that we may not have learned in our lifetimes?
It does. It really does.
What else did you do this year?
I did pretty much everything. I went on rice and beans one day. My dad went with me there, which was cool. We went to the disability center and we built a ramp. There was a child there that he was in a wheelchair and he couldn't get into the sewing center because there was a ledge from concrete down to the other sidewalk.
They couldn't get in.
So we took the wood, which was wicked hard and crazy.
Yeah, we learned about that wicked
Yeah.
hardwood.
It was crazy. And we built a ramp. Actually, one of the students, she's, I think, a junior this year, she decided that she put the planning together and showed them how it was going to be built. And it was really cool because it worked. So we built
It's
it.
always cool when it works,
Yeah.
you know that.
And
Yeah,
so I was.
we joked about the junior from Northeastern Clinton who became the engineer on the
Oh,
project.
Yeah, that's.
I love it.
So we built a ramp there, and so it was touching because we got to see the boy before we left. We had to leave really soon, but he's like, I'm going to be the first one. He was on a mission. He was like, oh, I'm going. And we watched him go across, and that was just cool because we didn't get to talk to him, but we got to see him smile and so happy that I can get in here now, and it was pretty cool. We also built at the Disability Center, it was a hose, and it was a big black hose, and it like came from a water source inside, and it went up on the roof, and it came back down in. And what happened was the sun heated the tube so that they could use their therapy tub that they had never been able to use before because they didn't have hot water. So that was another thing.
So a little solar energy at work there. Pretty good.
Exactly. Yeah. I got to build a house, actually 2. So that was cool. You get right
You didn't
in.
know what building a house in Nicaragua was like
No.
until you got there.
No,
Now
like-
that we've shown those pictures, I'm sure our viewers will know. Interesting, huh?
It's very hard. Like I was like, oh, I can't do it. And they're just so strong, and they just get up on the pieces of wood, and they're like on 2x4s that are like
Yeah.
pinned by 2 nails, and they're hanging by them, and I'm like, wow, crazy.
How long were you there this time?
8 days, 9 days.
Did it go?
8.
Was it fast or slow?
It went so fast. Like leading up to it was so slow. I was like sitting in school. I was like, when am I going to be there? When am I going to be there? And the plane ride there was just so long, and nobody could sleep. We were all so wired. We were all like, oh my God, when are we going to get there? And we got there, and we're like, finally. And it went by so quick.
Yeah. All of a
So
sudden,
quick.
there's so much to do, and it's time to go home.
Yeah, there was so much.
And that's why they keep doing the Mission of Hope time after time.
Exactly. And
So tell me what your future is going to be like. What do you look
I
into
have,
that crystal ball?
I have no clue. I'm going to college, but I don't know where yet. And I've got my acceptance letters, but I don't know where yet. But once I saw the Disability Center, I've always thought about working with challenged children. And then once I saw the Disability Center, I was like, wow. I fell in love with this one little boy. His name was Angel. And I played with
Isn't
this.
that appropriate? Huh?
Yeah.
Of course, lots of little boys are named Angel in
Yeah, right.
Nicaragua.
You played with his little toes and he just laughed, and it was so cool because he was only actually 5, and he was like little, but still he was little, but he was kind of more age appropriate. And I played with him and looked at him, and he just was so fun. And when I left, he was so happy. When I first got there, he was sad, and when I played with him, he was happy. And then when I left, he just his face just dropped, and you could tell. And I was like, it was hard to leave him.
That was a sad time.
Yeah.
So there's happiness and sadness all at the same time.
Yeah.
But gratifying. It made you feel good when you came home. And now that you've been back for a couple of months, you process all that information and things come back to you. And sometimes the very little things, like that relationship with Angel, that's something that'll be in your memory forever and ever and ever.
Yeah. It's just the little things there that count more than big, huge things like, I don't know. So,
But they
I
add
think
up.
that's one of the valuable lessons of taking so many young people. And one of the things we tell young people is they have to be unplugged on mission. They're
Unplugged on mission.
unplugged
Oh.
with the average of 1,700 text messages a week that they average. Once they leave the airport, they're not allowed to use their cell phone. They
that's
can't
hard, yeah.
text.
Yeah.
But there's a rationale behind that, and Demi has named it. It's so that they can connect emotionally with the little things that we so often miss in our lives, and that bonding hopefully has taught Demi, and I know it has so many other young people, the value of being loved unconditionally. That just being accepted for who you are. It didn't matter who her parents were or how much she had back here, but that she was willing to go, willing to spend quality time, and to be focused on mission. And the mission is about bringing hope.
Isn't that something that we've mentioned every single time we've done a program? But I think it's important to do that. And the fact that you feel it is way more important than me talking about it. But I'm impressed that you did and that you do. Because I'm convinced that every single person who's ever made the trip on a mission of hope has in some way been changed forever.
yeah. I will never go back. No, that was wrong.
You never go back to the way you
Yes.
felt before.
I want to go back to Nicaragua, but I would never go back to the way I was before. Like, just little things. I sit at lunch, and there's kids that just throw things away that are perfectly good, and it's like,
Materialistic things. So that's
it's-
another thing we've talked about often.
it's like Sister Staff saves everything there, and it's like, why would you save that? It's like the little, it's like the ring off the soda bottle. They keep those at the disability center to teach the kids colors. It's like they learn their colors through that and counting and stuff like that. And it's the little things that you don't think of. And it's just like here back home, I'm like, wow, someone's throwing away a perfectly good piece of food that, why don't you just,
And my wife says, why don't you throw all those things away? Because I'm from a saving age, you know.
ever since we've come back, me and my dad have been like, Mom, no, keep that. Like, she's like, guys, I can't keep everything. And it's like, we've brought it into our home, and I have a little brother, and he saw that we picked up a sponsor when we were down there. That was a big part of the week. My dad said, Sister Debbie, I want to sponsor somebody, find someone in need, someone that we can truly help and be someone the neediest of the needy, or just somebody that needs a sponsorship. So it was the next day, Sister Debbie was walking out of the compound, and she found a lady crying, and the lady was like, Sister asked what was wrong, and her son had lost his sponsorship. So it was kind of like, wow, we picked this little boy up.
See?
So he became our
Once in a
sponsor.
while, right? That's what we said,
it
a little
was-
nudge.
It's another sign of there being a God, and there's no other way of saying it. I mean, I had just received this, and then less than 24 hours later, this woman is standing sobbing because her son didn't have that sponsor anymore. And Demi and her dad, Alan, had just said, we can do this, and we want to do this. So they were able to connect with this child and the
Connections.
family. Yeah.
So I have a little.
Everything is about connections.
Exactly. We have a sponsor child, and what I thought was really cool is they don't have much at all. And like we gave them things to sponsor him, to get him clothes, some money for their food, just little things, and they were just so grateful. Like, I wear this every single day. It's a bracelet that the mom gave me,
Oh, I love it.
and it's of all the holy things. I don't know
Oh,
how to
yes, it's beautiful.
the saints and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. I wear it every single day. It doesn't come off. And also, she was the last day I was there. I was saying bye, and she had a necklace that she wore every single day, and she took it off and she gave it to me. Like, she put it on me. So I have that now, and that's pretty cool because that I like. It's wow.
Yeah.
Like, she wore it every single day when she saw me. Like, I saw her, and she took it off and was like, "This is for
Yeah.
you." And
That's a beautiful story. You're a beautiful young lady.
thank you.
Those are the kinds of stories I don't get to hear every day down
Well,
there.
that's why
because
we're here.
Yeah, and those are the moments that will touch Demi 10 years from now as well as now.
And 20 years
touch
and
us
30
too.
years from now.
Just a
Like, and
little.
it'll help to shape your life. I don't know what you'll do next year or the year thereafter, but we'll pay attention. We'll look for your name in the paper. Demi, thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
being. Anything else you want to say?
No.
No, just
Just
join
it's
the
a-
mission of hope.
It's a great experience, and I feel that any young person, elderly person, even if you're extremely like, I don't even know if you've lived your life and you think you've done everything, you haven't.
No.
Not until you've
Not-
reached out, and
Yeah.
you can. People tell me every day that you can do stuff around here. Why don't you just stay here? And it's the same. It's not the same.
Not at all.
It's not at all, because people here are not as grateful. I come back and you don't realize how ungrateful people are until you actually realize that the Nicaraguan people and the family there that you make is so much more comforting than
Yeah.
things when you come back to Plattsburgh.
That's
And I
great.
think Demi has touched on
Thanks,
something
Demi.
really important. And the other part of what Demi is saying is here, there is need, urban and rural. We all know that. But we also have every safety net available to a first world country. And we have all the organizations that can reach out and touch. But unfortunately, and we've all had this experience as well, there's this expectation of it's my right to have that.
Oh,
You
boy.
know?
I'm
And-
glad you said that.
Right, and that is something that doesn't happen with extremely impoverished people who don't know where the next meal is going to come from, whose children sleep on the dirt and live with parasites and don't have clean water. And so, if there's any message also that our young people can bring back to people here is, it's about gratitude. It's about being grateful for what we do have and not expecting that it's my right that I will have access to this or this or this. And that's what grates against young people's idealism, I think,
We
sometimes.
go to school and we go to church, and in church we learn how to pray. And you've just said so much when you say most of our prayers should be prayers of gratitude.
Yeah.
But not just prayers, but thanks to people. Let people know how grateful we are. And I hope we can do that by virtue of Hometown Cable's program here for Mission of Hope, to let our viewers know that we're grateful, not only Calvin and myself, but every one of our viewers, for what people like you are doing, and people like you, Sister Debbie. What's your name?
I'm Megan Ryan.
Megan, you've been sitting here patiently watching me pass the microphone back and
So
forth. Guess what? It's your turn. How are you?
I'm very good.
Delighted to have you here today. Have you made one trip or more?
I've made 3.
I should have known.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. The experience from the beginning to the end.
I was not expecting what I saw when I went down there. I was expecting it to be poor, but not to the point where you have 4 rent signs with rotting tin and like falling apart. You know, like they're not even homes, they're shacks, not even that sometimes. And when you're seeing people ride on horses and you see people spinning in and out through like with cars, like it was kind of scary a little bit at first. I was like, how do they not get in horrible accidents? And I mean, it's a lot different. Each mission has been different, that like you meet somebody new that touches you. And I think one of the best things is to keep in contact with those. Like I've met my one friend Yahira in this picture, and we've kept in contact ever since my first trip. And actually, I talked to her last night on the phone for about an hour, and
Now, she's the one on the...
she's the one on the left. She's
Oh.
not my sponsor child, but this was at the sponsor child
Okay.
things. I don't currently sponsor a child, but I send things, I bring stuff down to her. And it's funny because each time that I bring something right before I leave, she always gives me something as well. Like I'm wearing the flip-flops that she gave me.
Oh,
They're handmade.
Okay,
So-
no kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. We've gotten to know each other. We've become friends. It feels more home there than it does here because
Boy, there's
I
a sentence. It feels more home there than it does here.
than it does here.
Wow. How old is she?
She's 15.
And
I'm
speaks,
18.
Speaks very good English.
She speaks no English.
And you talk to her on the phone.
In
so
Spanish, yeah.
You speak Spanish?
Yes.
How did that occur?
I started taking it in 7th grade, and I loved it, and that's what I'm going to major in.
So you have no trouble conversing fluently in
For the most
Spanish?
part, yeah. That was part of my experience on the mission is that I would be in one place, especially during last August, because I've gone for the past 3 missions in a row. Whenever I was somewhere, it'd be like, "Oh, Megan, we need you over here." It was
Oh.
sometimes. I mean, it was definitely a good experience. I mean, sometimes you'd be chatting with friends and somebody would need you to go translate or interpret. But I mean, it was enjoyable because Sister Debbie can probably admit I got out of kitchen duty a couple times to go and translate.
She got it.
I got it this time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. But it was definitely interesting. I think I definitely got more opportunities because I spoke Spanish. And
I wonder
was-
if you speak with an accent. Did you ever ask
Yeah,
anybody?
I do, but who doesn't? When somebody comes here,
You
they
know, it must be different. There must be a lot of colloquial expressions down there that you wouldn't have learned back here.
Yeah, I definitely have learned some. Like Tuani is awesome.
Oh, I love it. Well, once you've got that, you got it all, right?
Yep, there's definitely some different dialects and different things like that that happen that I've, picked up on, even when I'm just conversing with different people. Like what I call my Nicaraguan moms. They're 2 women. They're the most crazy people I know, but I love them to death.
Oh, isn't that wonderful?
It's definitely a great feeling when you go back and it just feels right. Like you can take in a breath and just feel complete. When I'm here, I can do that, but it doesn't feel totally right.
You got to be a writer someday. Do you like to write? Because you're saying
Sometimes.
things that are very important. You know.
No,
When you
Megan's one that I have to remind that she needs to do her journaling while she's there.
Hey, I actually.
You should do more journaling.
Well, we keep a journal when we're there. We are forced to keep a journal, and you'd be surprised, but I've not stopped writing since my first mission.
there.
Every day I write, and I write in Spanish. I don't write in English anymore.
Oh, that's even more
And-
important. Yeah.
And it's
But when I take a breath, I feel complete. A poet couldn't say that any better than you just said that, Megan. Those are important things. That's why I think it's important for us to share our experiences with our viewers. And if you can write it down, I wouldn't be surprised if Sister Stephanie or Sister Debbie or some of the other adults would write memoirs.
I'm actually in the midst
It's
of doing that right
time
now.
to write memoirs.
Actually, I'm collaborating with someone who is writing the story for me. I'm telling the story of the Mission of Hope,
beautiful.
the moments, the
Oh,
memoirs.
that's great.
And there will be a book before I die.
I want to know about
There will
it.
be a book. But what Megan touches on is also something that we've heard the thread of time and time again. Like youngsters will come back and then they'll say, I don't want to unpack my suitcase for a week. And then they unpack it and they say, oh, I smelled Nicaragua
see
this
that?
morning. And it
Don't
triggers.
you love it?
It triggers something. And I think what it triggers is that connection.
Yeah.
I think it triggers that specialness
Yeah.
of who they were, but also what they experienced.
Oh, yeah, the connections are so. You got other pictures for me, Meg?
Yes.
I want to see whatever you want me to see.
This was actually a picture we took at night.
Oh,
That was back in August.
That's kind of cool.
Actually, that's a really good picture because that's the new section of the church that we've built. The church itself 10 years ago was just too small for the community, and so it's been extended by about 10 or 12 feet back, and that's the new back of the church with the mission
It's
style.
beautiful in so many ways, isn't it?
It is. It's
kind of
beautiful at
belies
night.
the emotion that's behind it, but it's really quite beautiful.
And the beauty.
Next.
Well, the beauty. That's just the beauty. These are just pictures from the trips. Like that's just the sunrise that I just enjoy. I'd go out every morning just to we'd eat breakfast out there sometimes, just because it's so peaceful.
Sunrise, and these are
And that-
mountains in the distance?
Yeah, those were right on the lake, but it's so beautiful. You can see we go on a day where we have some free time. One day where we go and we travel around. Those are the nuns from Diriamba, which is about I believe an hour and a half from where we stay. And they collaborate with us for medicines and stuff. They work at a hospital.
That's also a very important picture because some of our local people in the North Country will have read about the very ill sister that we're in the process of bringing back to the United States. And she's a member of that community. And we are networking. We're waiting for her visa, her medical visa. And then she will be staying with Jim and Nikki Lundy in
Oh, no kidding.
Shazy while we
Wow.
figure out what her It's not contagious. It's a type of disease that needs to be treated, but it's not contagious to anyone else. However, she is very, very ill from it. And since we've left, she actually had a major episode while we were there. And then she's had 2 episodes since we've left in February. So it is of paramount importance that we bring her here. And I think she might actually be in this
She's right
picture.
there.
And she's really quite
Ingrid is her
her
name.
name is
On the
Ingrid.
right-hand side where my finger is on this
I have
side.
talked to her since we left too. She emailed me letting me know that she's still
Okay.
sick, but
She,
God's with her. So.
Right. She is a very, very faithful woman. And why it's so urgent, and a lot of our people will know this in the North Country, she hasn't finally professed yet. She's been in the congregation for 7 years. But in Central and South America, congregations, if you haven't finally professed, unfortunately, if we don't resolve what the issue is before next January, she won't be allowed to do her final vows. That doesn't happen in most of our congregations here anymore. So it's urgent, because I can say to you, if ever there was a woman meant to be a sister for the poor, she is it. And I can see Sarah nodding. She just is someone that makes you cry with joy that she's so committed. And, we've grown very close to her. So we're hoping that we'll be able to facilitate her trip here. And, at some point we'll be asking the North Country for ways to help. And
What's her name?
Ingrid, Ingrid.
We have to know when we say our prayers.
Yes, absolutely.
Put her special name at the top. What else do you want to tell me, Megan?
Well, I'm hoping if she's not here by this summer, I'm going back.
Oh,
So,
that sounds like a plan.
yeah, I'm going back to a school for the summer for 5 weeks. So I'm hoping to visit them for a weekend and possibly meet the mission if it's possible while I'm down there. I'm going to a school for Spanish. So,
Oh,
just
I love
to
all
practice.
these stories, all these wonderful stories. Thank you so much. Unless you can think of something else.
I just think it's a great opportunity, and even though people will keep telling their stories and telling their stories, it really isn't complete until you've actually experienced it, until you've actually been.
Yeah.
You can say that, I've seen pictures Sister Debbie did when she was first doing her presentations back in the 90s, and I was at St. Peter's. We saw it, but we didn't see it. You know what I mean? It's not the same. It never will be the same unless you've actually gone.
It's like
And even though
putting
we-
the puzzle together and adding
Exactly.
the pieces as time
And
goes
you
on.
never see the worst of it. There's always something that's going to be worse. That each time, I know she's gone on several missions, each time there's something worse. You discover something worse. Even though we live in the compound, people are like, yeah, I can't believe you managed to stay a week in Nicaragua. We haven't even seen the worst of it. And it's sad not seeing that isn't the worst of it. That what you see when people, you see kids that are excited to get, the Dallop Daisy containers that are empty that we end up giving out when that's, something to call theirs. You'd think that's really sad, but there's people that are even worse off than that, like they said with the stickers. It's just like having something of their own. But it's sad because you see kids here with cell phones. I was working at Momont the other night for a family fun night. There were 7-year-olds that had better cell phones than I did. And they're like, oh, I'm going to text you later. And I was like, you get excited over that. But there's kids that down there, it's nothing. You don't miss what you never had. And they're even stickers is that exciting. If that gets them that excited, you give that to a 4-year-old and they're unhappy. You know what I mean? It
It's
shows the
incredible.
difference between the cultures.
I have nothing against technology. Goodness knows I use it all the time, and I love to spend time on the internet, although I don't really like to do texting. However, this brings us down. This is our foundation. You're getting down to the core of what's really, really important, right?
Right. I think part of also the truth of what is happening here is for young people or for any of us who have a lot of stuff, it's easy to get enmeshed in that stuff.
That's
when,
a good word. That's my favorite word.
When you're stripped of all of that or you've never had it, you become much more aware of what little you do have. And I think the awareness is a key word, both for people here as well as for people in Nicaragua. And Megan actually is the third school represented today. We've had Seton and we've had Peru, and Megan is from PHS, and then Sarah is from a school in Albany. And I'm trying to remember, I think we had like 9 or 10 schools represented in the February mission.
I just
Yeah.
love it. It's great. Hey, Sarah.
Hi,
Move it over closer to me here. How are you?
Good.
All right, we're going to pause for just a moment.
Sounds good.
And we're underway again. Just to refresh your memories in case you turned on the television or your computer a bit later than the rest of us did. We're at Seton Catholic Central School on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base. We're talking about the Mission of Hope. 10th anniversary, Sister Debbie. I can't believe it's been 10 years, but it's been wonderful. What a journey.
It's been, and that's a great word. It truly has been a journey. I think about the numbers and numbers of people that have been, but also support us in so many ways. I think about how enriched my life is by meeting young people like Sarah from Albany and Massachusetts, and we had kids on this mission from Florida. And so all of those are the pieces of the blessing that kind of is woven through the Mission of Hope. And if anyone had said to me that we would be where we are 10 years later, I never would have anticipated or expected anything such. We've built over 400 home shelters. We feed over 600 children a day. We are presently educating over 500.
That's okay. You can,
sorry.
you can answer your phone if you need to. Just shows you're a VIP. I
No,
think
it
we
shows
ought
I
to.
forgot I
I
had
think
it.
we've all been through recently, as we're recording this on Good Friday 2009 through the G20. We should call this the MH10.
Yes, but you know, in a very spiritual way, it's most appropriate that we're recording this on Good Friday.
Isn't it, though?
Because as we walk that journey with Christ today, in terms of the people who supported him in his pain and the people who suffered great loss, but also the promise of hope, the promise of resurrection, that's really important for us to think about, and it's such a piece of what the mission is about. And I actually told people recently that
They're after you, lady boy.
I told people recently that, you know, we do all of this stuff in celebration in liturgy this week, and for those of us who are Christians, tomorrow is probably one of the most important days, and that's the day of waiting. You know, I call it the tomb moments. And for the people that we assist in Nicaragua, there are many tomb moments in their lives. The waiting for to be, that someone knows they're alive. The waiting for food. The waiting for some sort of promise of new life, of hope. And so it's most appropriate that we're taping this on Good Friday.
I think it's perfect, and I thought of that as I was driving over here today, especially when I saw the sunshine.
Yeah, that's nice too.
It's nice to see almost 50 degrees on a Good Friday. Yeah. Sarah, what's your last name?
Scardillo.
Scardillo.
Yes.
S-C.
Ardillo.
That's phonetic. That's the first great name I've been able to spell in years.
Oh, well, thank you.
Sarah, you're from Albany?
I am from Albany. Yep.
Tell me about your life at Albany.
It's a good life. I'm a very busy person. I go to school. I'm a dancer.
And you go to school?
I go to the Academy of the Holy Names.
No kidding.
Yep.
Sarah's actually the third or fourth youngster from the Academy of Holy Names who's been on mission, and along with Sister Kathy, their campus minister there. So we have a growing link there in the Albany area as well as in the Florida area now.
That's wonderful. I'm excited about that. Now, you going to spend the weekend here, or you're just coming up for the
No,
day?
just for the day.
Oh, did you drive up?
I did.
Good for you.
Thank you.
That's scary to think that these kids I'm taking on mission are all driving.
Oh, yeah. They won't be driving in Nicaragua, though.
No.
I wouldn't want to drive in
We wouldn't
Nicaragua.
wanna
That's
drive in
scary.
Nicaragua.
I've seen some of those roads. I don't
Yeah,
think
that's
The roads
scary.
and the few drivers that are on those roads are a little scary.
so. So what year are you in school?
I'm a senior.
And what's after this? for you?
I'm going to Roger Williams University.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful.
Yep.
And what are you going to study? Do you have any idea?
Psychology and dance.
They go together, don't they?
Yeah.
Half of my kids are in that field.
Oh.
Not dance, but psychology. So how did you first find out about the mission?
Like Sister Debbie said, a couple of the girls at my school have gone, and my campus minister, Sister Kathy, goes, and it's something they have talked about and given presentations, and it's something that I always imagined myself being able to do, and so I finally got involved, and it was one of the best experiences I could have ever asked for.
This was the first time for you this year?
Yeah, in February, yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sarah had actually applied the last time,
Yeah.
but the application came in after the deadline.
Yeah,
Oh, not fair.
not fair.
It's unfortunately, to be
happens.
just to everyone, we have to be really firm about that. But she's an example of someone that stayed committed to the process and reapplied for this one, and there she goes.
Yeah.
So, tell me about it in a nutshell. What was it like?
Oh, it was amazing. I always expected going there and coming back with all these great stories, and I never expected actually like living the stories that I was going to tell, and experiencing it is so much different. And I've seen pictures from girls at my school, and there's nothing that could have prepared you. It's so much different than I ever expected, and I can't wait to go back.
Did you use some of your dance techniques?
Yes, I did.
Tell me.
Well, every morning I like to dance with the fathers. They liked that at 5 o'clock in the morning. That was fun, and I just dance all the time.
Really?
Yeah,
And the kids loved it?
yeah. It was fun. We got to dance with them.
Do you have any specialty in what kind of dance do you
No,
like?
I do everything.
Do you really?
I do it all. Yep.
I wonder what that'll turn out to be in the future.
I don't know.
Just
Hopefully
something
something
you
good.
enjoy, or something you can use as part of your profession, or
Hopefully both.
not? So you started dancing very young?
Yeah, I was 4.
Did you just take ballet, or what did you?
I started out with ballet and tap, yeah, and I do lots of different things now.
Isn't that wonderful? What a great way to express yourself.
Yeah,
huh?
it's fun.
And dance.
Yeah.
We all feel like dancing sometimes. Some of us can do it, and some people.
Yeah, and 2 comments. One, we have 2 other students that were on this mission who are also very much into dance, and one of goes to school with Sarah. And actually, in a couple of weeks, they will be doing the World Championships of Irish dance. They are.
Come
Those
on.
2
Yeah.
kids are
You do
actually.
the Irish dance?
No, I don't.
No,
do
she
that.
doesn't.
Oh,
But
no.
2 of her friends that were on this mission are going to be in the World Championships. So that kind of tells you how far-reaching and how diverse the young people are that we take on mission. But the other thing I want to point out is Sarah's commitment. Sarah had to travel up from Albany for meetings, because she was within a 3-hour distance, and that's our regulation. She did that. And then Sarah could have stayed home today, but when I put the plea out to have young people come to speak about their mission experience, Sarah drove up specifically
That's
for this.
wonderful.
I think that says something about her as a young person, but I also think it says something about what the impact that the mission has had on her life, and also her commitment to the mission. Because we say over and over, your mission really begins when you get home.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, there's so much truth to that. What you experience down there, it's no good if you come back and you don't say anything about it. So the only way to help have people get involved is to tell them about it. So I think it's the best way.
Have people asked you a lot of questions?
Oh
or-
yeah, a million questions. And
Really?
I told everybody I was going on, and so everybody wants to know how it was, of course. So, and I'm sure they probably regret asking because I talk so much. So
Well, maybe you can inspire other people to make the
Hopefully.
trip, and other times, or somebody inspired you.
yeah, definitely.
So I want to know a little bit more about the trip and what you did. What kinds of things did you do when you were there?
Well, I was really lucky. I got the very first day we were there, I got to do rice and beans, which is a great way to start off the week.
Oh, yes.
You pack up your backpacks full of rice and beans, and you hike out to see all of the people, and it's such a great experience because these people, they have nothing. They live in shacks, and they still are so happy. They have the best spirits. They have the best smiles. They are so proud of their children, and it's just a great experience because you really get to interact with the people and see what's really going on in their lives, and you really just get to jump right in. So that was a great experience.
Were there any big surprises for you when you got there?
It was all a big culture shock. Everything, you see things here that you think are poverty, and then you go over there and you're like, that's not even close to the things that I saw in Nicaragua. So, there was definitely some things that stood out to me, but I think overall it was just a whole completely different experience than I could ever have imagined.
And like everybody else, I suppose the time seemed to go quickly once you were.
Yeah,
Once
it
you were
did,
there.
which was it was kind of annoying because you're like, oh, there's just so much more to do. Like I don't want it to go fast. I want to be here for longer so I can do all of this stuff.
Would you like to go back sometime?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I wonder if you'll have the chance.
I think so. Possibly this summer. So we'll see.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we'll see.
What did your family think about this?
Well, it's actually funny. My parents didn't know when I applied for the mission.
Oh, really?
I never expected to get in, to get accepted, and so, I came home one day and I was like, "Hey, Mom, can I go to Nicaragua?" And she kind of laughed in my face.
That's a good thing.
And she was like,
"Can I have a new BMW?"
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't tell my parents, but my parents are very, they really want me to have every experience I can and to travel, and they thought it was a great opportunity, and of course they were obviously a little nervous, but now that I've gone and I'm back and safe and everything, they would send me again in a heartbeat because it was such an amazing experience.
Did you take a million pictures?
I took like 400.
Did you really?
Yeah, I took so many.
You brought your little digital camera.
Yep, I
never
snapped
dropped
away.
It once?
Nope. Oh, I dropped a lot, but I snapped away.
Isn't it great?
Yeah, it was
'Cause
awesome.
You look at a picture and you look at a little child, you say, "Oh yeah, I remember."
They love the little kids there too. They love the pictures. They love, when we play with them in the courtyard, they will grab your camera and they take 900 million pictures, half of which don't come out right, and they love to look at themselves, and they're such great kids.
So you were surprised in some ways,
Yeah.
enriched and comforted,
Yeah.
and you learn what unselfish love
Yeah.
is about.
Yeah, it really
in
is.
Nicaragua.
Yeah. It's the people there, and like I said, they have nothing, but they go out of their way to make us happy, and like everybody said earlier, you really get so much more than you give, and that's one of the most amazing things about going to Nicaragua.
And to be able to share dance with those people.
Yeah.
Did you get up earlier every morning than you expected to?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, the roost. I don't know if anybody told you about this, but there's roosters, and they just go all night long. So you don't really get sleep in Nicaragua, but you don't really need
I've been to Hawaii and I've been to Mexico, so
You
I know
know the deal.
I know roosters.
Yep.
They don't know how to sleep.
No.
Starting about
I always
3:30
thought
in the morning.
Yeah, I always thought it was like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
They'd
no.
wake you up. No, it's all night, and the dogs and the guards. It's crazy. So, but you don't really need sleep. You're just so happy to be there. But then I slept for like 25 hours when I came home. So.
Did you really? Well, it's a long plane trip. People don't realize how long. Now you leave out of Montreal, right?
They have in previous years. This year we actually didn't. We left. It was a really long trip. We went from here to Burlington on a ferry, and then we flew from Burlington to Newark, and then Newark to Houston, and then Houston to Managua. So this trip particularly was long. I was wishing that we could have gone to Montreal, but it was all worth it.
So, I did not know they were doing that route now.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
the time? They're not going
I don't
on
know.
Montreal?
I'm not sure. I think it might have just
We'll
been
ask
easier and
Sister
cheaper.
Debbie about
Yeah, I'm
that.
sure she'll know.
What other experiences now? What other things would you like to convey about your trip?
Well, I don't know if you've heard people talk about their mission moment, but it's often a moment. Not every missioner experiences a moment that everything just kind of clicks and goes into place, and this is like it changes your life pretty much. And I definitely have to say that my mission moment was when we went to La Chirica, which is the dump in Nicaragua, and it's what you would imagine like an American landfill, except people in America don't live in landfills. There's like 12 to 1,500 people living in those landfills every day, and you see poverty, around our compound and everything, but then when you go to the dump, it's just like 10 times worse, and there's kids running around, and they don't go to school, and they have diseases, and there's children being prostituted for garbage, and it's just it's a sick place. And when I went, I was expecting it to be like not that big, like maybe a quarter of a mile in diameter, and we got there and it was miles and miles and miles. It's huge, and there's vultures everywhere, and it smells, and it's so disgusting, but like it's definitely the reason that I want to continue to help these people and try and
I've never
fix it.
asked what the point of the experience at the dump is. Is that to help people or just to see it or what?
Well, we do. I believe we do have a school there, but it's when I went, we just went to see it. But there's nothing. It has to be done by the government. There's nothing that we can do because it's just it's so extreme. I know that we do try to help, but personally, when I went down, we didn't. So.
Anything else that comes to mind that you want people to know?
No, I think that's it.
I see. It wasn't 90 minutes after all.
I tried.
Sarah, I got to tell you that I'm very impressed by you as a person.
Oh, well, thanks.
And we really appreciate the fact that you went there and that you came all the way up here to tell us your story from Albany.
Not a problem.
And I can't wait to see what happens in your future.
Oh, well,
Stay in
thank
touch
you.
with
I will.
sister,
Oh, absolutely.
and we'll talk about you in the future.
Oh, good. Good
Best
things,
of
I
luck.
hope.
Have a wonderful Easter weekend.
Thank you, you too.
All right. Sister Debbie,
Yes.
this has been quite a ride again today. What are we looking at?
Well, you're looking at the story of a little girl that has forever captured my heart. And very briefly, is the story of a little girl who lives at the Managua City dump. And a few years ago, when I first went to the dump, we were just kind of trying to explore what the options were and how we could help. She came running up to me and literally grabbed around my knees and said to me in Spanish, "Are you going to feed me?" And unfortunately, we didn't have food that day. And I said, I didn't want to lie. And I just said, we're seeing what we can do, but, I can't feed you today. Well, when I shared that story, the next day, that night at our session, the next day we had enough rice and beans donated through funds from the actual mission people that we went back. And then she's in line getting her first cup of drink and looked up at me and said, "I had hoped you would come back." And she had no idea. But the sad part, that's the beauty of the story, but the sad part is a promise I made to her that I would always tell her story. Because from that moment until this past January, we had searched for her and searched for her. We had people with pictures out for her because I wanted to know her name. And then the tragic part of the story, and you need to understand that it's taken me a while to be able to tell her story because it just is heartbreaking. In January, I was finally informed that this little girl has disappeared. And what is happening at the dump, there are a couple of things happening. One, there's this huge cesspool that when the kids are on what's called the rim of the dump, looking down at where the garbage is and all that, there's also a cesspool. So one possibility is that she fell into the cesspool and drowned. But the more likely possibility is something that is happening there, which is also tragic on many levels. And that's that the fathers of the girls, of the children that are girls, are prostituting their daughters to the garbage truck drivers so that the garbage truck drivers will dump the garbage closer to their garbage bag home and
Even imagine.
yeah. And then, or the third possibility is that she's been trafficked out of there, sold. And whatever that reality is, we can't find her. And, I promised that every opportunity I promised myself, but I also promised her memory that every opportunity I got, I would tell her story.
Yeah.
Because that's a reality that most of our children will never have to live in a dump or have to be, sold for food. And I just need our listeners to know that the Mission of Hope is about trying to bring hope to young people, those most in need. And she's an example of someone most in need. And we need their support. We need their prayers. We need their financial support. We need all of that to continue what we're doing in the mission.
We need, at the end of this program, we need a little geography lesson from you for people who have no idea where the Mission of Hope goes in Nicaragua.
Well, when Nicaragua is the second poorest country in our hemisphere, when you look at Central America, it is the second lowest Central American country. The country north of it is Honduras, the country south of it is Costa Rica, and then that leads down into Panama and then Central America. Nicaragua is bordered on by both the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. We are on the Pacific side, believe it or not, and we land in Managua, and then we're about an hour from Managua. And if you look at the spokes of a wheel when you're looking at the map of Nicaragua and you find Managua, we go out in about an hour or two in every direction, and that's where the concentration of our efforts are, in that area, essentially on the road to Lyon, which is a little north of in the country.
All right. And now, at the very end of the program, let's tell people how they can get involved in whatever way they might be moved to do so.
We're always looking for volunteers to help pack and inventory our supplies. That happens every Wednesday at our storage location, which is donated by Moldrite, and it is on Sharon Avenue. They can call my office for information, 561-2599, or my cell phone, 570-5443. In addition to the prayers and their donation of materials and supplies, probably the single, as anyone knows, the single greatest need would be for whatever financial ability. And we've talked about, we have these safety nets here and all of that, but we also live in America. Even in the midst of what we're living with economically, Nicaragua is 67% unemployment, and we're dealing with a both and. You can give $1 to a local charity and $1 to the Mission of Hope to help. We are a global world, and the North Country Mission of Hope has really taken ownership of that by helping us. And so we ask for the continued support on all those levels. Health equipment, supplies for babies, educational materials and games, and funds to feed children and to provide needed medicines and home shelters for those most in need. We have a lot of North Country people paying for home shelters in memory of a loved one.
What a great idea.
We have a lot more people giving out birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, and graduation gifts to the mission and giving their families a special card that we've designed. And so if anyone's interested in that as well, those are free, and they can get those from us, and then they in turn make a donation to the
The
mission in
website's
someone's
easy
name.
to find.
www.ncmissionofhope.org. And if you've not visited it in a few months, it is entirely redone, and it's a great website.
Did you work on it?
No, I just gave information. We actually have one of our former students who sponsors a child and was a kid I had in school, who is now a webmaster and designed our website for us as his donation back to the mission.
I love it.
His name is Gabe Sabrin. Many of you will know Bill Sabrin.
Oh, of course, very well.
And Gabe moved to Pittsburgh first, and then Bill and Barr. Bill was transferred and ended up in Pittsburgh as well. Well, Gabe Sabrin is the person that's designing our website.
Everything is connected.
Oh, there's
We've said
without
it
a doubt.
before, and Bill Sabrin moved into the house that was occupied by our son Gary and
Is
his
that
wife
right?
before they were killed in an
Yeah.
accident in 1988. So his family has always been very special to ours.
Well, and even with Bill being away in Nicaragua, in Pittsburgh, Bill serves on our grant committee team and often assists me in writing pieces to grants that we're trying to apply for as well. So people stay involved even when they go away. And now what's beginning to happen is kids who've been away for 10 years, were on that first or second mission, are now out of college, are now settled in a job, may even have their own family, and now they're reconnecting and saying, I'm now ready to give back, sister. How can I get involved?
Isn't it wonderful? We ought to
Yes.
have a reunion sometime.
Oh, we are. We are in our 10th year, and you'll hear more about it, and it's going to be in September.
Let's think about it. Maybe the hometown cable cameras can be there.
That would be wonderful.
Speaking of websites, I think it's important for our viewers to know that this program, Our Little Corner, and many other things are on a great website called Plattsburgh.com. So that, for example, Sarah, when she goes back to Albany, can wait a week or so and see this very
Wonderful.
program, which hopefully will be tied right into the North Country Mission of Hope website.
Right.
And people can see us all over the globe.
Great.
And we're also on the North Country's cable systems, which is wonderful. We're recording this, of course, in a school. That's why we've heard these beeps every now and again. But on a Good Friday, and it's appropriate that we do. We thank all of our viewers for watching this program and for actually being moved to do something about it and to help our mission of hope. We always welcome your suggestions. We, of course, also welcome contributions financially to our program and send those to Calvin Castine in care of Hometown Cable on the Ridge Road in Champlain. Sister Debbie, you are the best. Hugs
Thank
on
you.
camera.
Thank you
Best
very
of
much.
everything to you. God bless you.
Thank you
Have-
both, Calvin and Gordy.
and have
for
a wonderful Easter
You too.
weekend.
You too. And to all of our listeners, they'll get this after Easter, but we'll still be in the Easter season. So many blessings. A blessed Passover to our Jewish families, and also a happy Easter.
And who knows?